Fascism is something very specific, okay? Fascism
Yeah, sure,
is
but
not,
it's a corruption of socialism, and it's very easy to see how it can become chauvinistic.
no, it is not a corruption of socialism. Fascism is not about conservatism or your views on family life or your views on sexuality. Fascism is something very specific that's rooted in war. It's rooted in militarism. It's rooted in things like that. It's not about your personal views on,
Well, I mean,
sexual.
it historically ends up being chauvinistic, and
Let's look at that word chauvinism, okay? Somewhere in the 1960s, the word chauvinism began to start being applied by feminists to sexuality, where there's male chauvinism. And from there, chauvinism became like, oh, you're chauvinistic, you're culturally aggressive toward these sexual minorities or toward women. But when Lenin was using the word chauvinism, he was actually talking about, it was named after a Frenchman who pioneered a position of military aggression on behalf of France during, I believe it was during the Great War, during the First Imperialist War, where he was basically, pro-war credits. Let's aggressively prey on these colonies and these countries. And that's what chauvinism is. It's a line of, so basically AOC, when she's voting in Congress or the Senate, for the Iron Dome, or when so-called progressive liberals are making the argument that we need to go to Afghanistan to give women rights, they are actually definitionally the chauvinists that Lenin was talking about.
and you've read a lot of early Soviet writings, haven't you, about how to construct a new society? Many of those of the Bolsheviks and Bolshevik thinkers, if you look at even Solzhenitsyn, like how they were planning cities, break with traditional bourgeois family structures.
No, what was going on, it had nothing to do with the cultivation of alternative sexualities, but the common denominator was an extreme collectivism, where the problem they had with families wasn't that it was, stymieing individual expression. Individual expression was what was in the crosshair by these extremists of the early Soviet period. And what they wanted to do is basically have a total collectivism of family life, a total erasure of any kind of private life whatsoever, and basically people becoming like machines, more or less. So it was something that a lot of these intersectional types would probably find incredibly terrifying. And there was a dystopian novel that George Orwell ripped off of that was written as a kind of response and parody to this experiment, this avant-garde ideas, which was called We. The book is called We, right?
Yeah, I'm familiar.
All of the stuff I'm talking about was a consequence of avant-garde intellectuals, and the avant-garde is not Bolshevism. These were intellectuals that predated Bolshevism. And the Bolshevik line, led by Lenin and later Stalin, especially Lenin though, they were extremely ambivalent and critical of all of it, because they were saying, this is nonsense, it's hot air, we need to focus on what works, we need to focus on reality, we need to focus on, in terms of literature and art, the classics of the past. We need people to be educated on that. We need to build the basic premises of a civilization. We cannot recreate all of society from scratch. And Lenin used to have a saying that habit is everything. Everything is habit. You can't consciously dictate ways of life and life. No, everything is habit. And things evolve on the basis of it.
Yeah, I'm familiar with all that history.